call this meeting to order at 6:01. And I do have something to report out of closed session. We do have a change to the agenda. We're going to move action item L4 underneath J6. Moving action item L4 underneath J6. That's all I have to report. Now, if you'll join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, tell me something good time.
Okay, I'm going to start us off. Tell me something good time, and I'm going to hand it over to Mike. We're going to kind of tag team this one. So, Elise, stand up. Elise, stand on up. It's embarrassing in front of everybody. So, at the beginning of the school year, special education positions are really hard to find, right? Teachers filling these positions. I've talked in the same room and in the boardroom many times about how difficult it is to find special education teachers in this environment that we're currently in, and especially good ones, right? So we were desperate at the beginning of the year. Miss Ayala, Dr. Ayala left us last year to go to Hollister, and so we're left with a vacant position. We were desperate. So I was asking around and well, I'm going around, I'm like asking anybody, and so Rosie Commons, our occupational therapist, said, well, my mom's recently retired, and she might be willing to do it. And so I said, okay, yes, and so Rosie went to Elise, and Elise was willing to fill in for us, and she's been amazing. Delayed her retirement. All the Toro teachers I see shaking their head right now, and Mike's going to talk a little bit about the impact on Toro Park, but she came in and did a great job for half the year. I really wanted to keep her as long as we could, but it's time for Elise to go enjoy retirement. I saw her at Toro Park yesterday when I was going to a meeting, and she was enjoying retirement with her grandchildren, so I was happy to see that. But Elise, thank you so much, and I'll let Mike say a couple things.
It was an absolute pleasure to work with you and meet you the last few months. And the support that you provided to the Toro Park teachers and students is immeasurable and extremely valuable. Thank you so much for helping us with this transition. And I do wish you the best. You're always welcome back anytime you'd like. But we will respect, your retirement. So, thank you.
And so on. And we might respect everything.
Yay.
This evening, I have the honor of celebrating 4 students who placed first, second, third, and fourth in our Washington Union School Spelling Bee. It is so hard not only to talk in front of the entire school, but to come up and spell really hard words is beyond difficult. So the first student that I would like to honor is Dominic Piney. He plays 4th grade. Come on up, Dominic.
You're going to shake all your hands, okay?
Congratulations.
Congratulations to Dominic. Great job. Please, we have Chloe McDonald. Come on up, Chloe. Great job, Chloe. Yeah. This year, Life Team has invited all of our alternates to participate. So usually there's a drawing, but this year Dominic and Chloe are automatically entered. So good luck to Saturday. All right, our spelling bee was tough, and we had a great second place winner, and that is Maddie Phelps. Great job, Maddie. She will be representing us at the spelling bee. Right, and first place, this student also got 100% on our spelling screener. That's 80 words fully correct, and that is Fiona, who placed first place. Parachute was 20 words. All right, I will get. It was a tough spelling bee, and I still cannot believe you guys did such a good job spelling in front of the entire school. Man, that's tough. So one more round of applause for ourselves.
All right. As we go into our week before winter break, the Toro Park students are going to be putting on a talent show. And we have a couple students here from our second and third grade classes that are going to share a sneak peek of the talents that they will share with the rest of our students. So I will invite Zoe Baraka.
Okay, sorry, come on in.
Thank you, Zoe.
Excellent.
Thank you, Zoe. And we have Isabella Ziegler, who's going to share a little bit of her talents with us as well.
He's so talented. So talkative.
Thank you so much to our students and families for sharing your talent. And that talent shows next week, Wednesday and Tuesday around noon if you want to come on by. We're going to do second grade on Tuesday and third grade on Wednesday during their lunchtime. It should be a good show. Thank you.
Yeah, great job.
Okay. That's all we got. Tell me something good time. Okay, moving on to organization updates. This is an opportunity. Is this on? No. Can you guys hear me? Do I have to talk in this?
You don't have to.
I'm in.
You're outside voice.
It's still closer.
Now, the letter testing 1, 2, 3.
Oh my.
Okay, I'm going to move on to, yes, if those of you do not want to stay for the rest of the board meeting, you may go. Now is a good time. I'm going to move on to organization updates. This is an opportunity for board members or staff to make a brief announcement or make a brief report on his or her own activities.
I went to the presentation at San Bernardino with Dr. Grover last Friday. It was great. And then I went to the skate party as a parent at the ice rink for the.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
It's fun.
I've just been reading public comments that are hitting my email. We got tons of good information, lots of great input. I totally appreciate it. Been calling Gina and asking for different bits of information to staying in tune with evolving economic stuff and accounting information that we're getting from the county. So there's a lot of information out there. I just appreciate everyone's input on that.
Same. I've been talking with Gina about the community funding issue, but that's about it.
Yeah, I met with Gina this month about community funding as well, and been reading all the emails and things like that.
Same. Also been meeting with Gina, and then I attended the board meeting at MCOE for the territory transfer.
Yeah, I attended the territory transfer meeting as well. I held an EERC meeting with our CSEA unit. I had my monthly superintendent's council meeting at the County Office of Education. I've been doing a lot of walkthroughs at the schools. I attended the Dr. Grover assembly, which was great. Attended the monthly committee meeting for the Committee on Community Funding and hosted our monthly superintendent's advisory meeting.
Okay. I attended the skate party this weekend too that San Bernardino had. Dr. Grover was great as always at San Bernardino. I also attended the county board meeting. We had our special education staff meeting, school staff meetings, lots of IEPs and 504s. I attended SELPA cabinet. We had Red Ribbon Week at San Bernardino. We had our community funding committee, and then myself and Miss Swedberg visited a school in Salinas. Oh, and movie night. I went to movie night at Toro Park too. And we visited a special education school in Salinas that we refer students to sometimes. So we got the opportunity to see it, which we hadn't seen before.
At Toro Park, we completed our annual fire department inspection and drill observation. We met with Monterey County and the TMAC team regarding the temporary road closure in front of Toro Park School. I also attended the county board meeting on the territory transfer. I met with Regen and the Blue Strike team to kind of coordinate a transition to food waste recycling at Toro Park. And I also attended the final committee on community funding meeting. And a huge shout out to Star for hosting the movie night at Toro Park. They showed The Grinch. It was a lot of fun. I attended the regional meeting for homeless liaisons at MCOE, and I met with our new IT service provider to kind of start that transition process so they can be up to speed by January 1st.
Our fifth graders came back from science camp. It seemed like it was a really fun trip. I met with MCOE to plan our upcoming ELD training that's happening next week. I went to the Monterey County Instructional Leadership Professional Development at Salinas City. Fourth grade went to San Juan Bautista Mission a few weeks ago. This month, art docent is clay, and the kids are loving it. They're making their little quails or their bears in fourth grade. It's so fun. I hosted the ILT meeting. I went to all 3 committee meetings. We passed our fire inspection. It was really well done. We also had a really delicious Taco Tuesday. We had a pizza day, and we are now planning a s'mores and stargazing night. So we're partnering with Mira, so hopefully they'll come in the next couple of months.
Where is she? There she is, Miss Rodell.
Yes, we met with Gina for the superintendent advisory meeting. All the teachers are working really hard, and I was part of the committee.
And I knew I saw you come in, Missy Barrett.
We had a regular meeting, I had with community funding meetings. We had our EERC meeting with Gina, which is fantastic. Hope to keep those up monthly. We had the regional meeting with Everything 70, which I attend each month. Let's see, we had our site visits. They started, which were fantastic. Get to see each, what's going on at each site. And then our next meeting is on the 16th.
Okay, thank you. And is anyone from STAR would like to give an update?
We did our meeting, our movie night at Toro this last Friday, and we were able to bring in, I think it was 9 full bins of toys and clothing for the need around our area. So that was really nice. We had a pizza day today, and we are working on a few things. We have the holiday shop coming up for Toro and Washington. That will be very exciting for the kids. So that will be going out. And then in the new year, we'll be looking forward towards to our readathon that we'll do.
Thank you. Okay, I'm going to move down to community input. We're going to do it a little bit different tonight. So if there's anything not on the agenda that you want to talk about, please come up right now. We didn't put any cards out because I'm sure the majority of you will want to talk about, where are we? Yeah, K3, is that it? So when we get to K3 community funding, we will take public comment once we get there. So if there's anything on the agenda tonight that you want to talk about that is not on the agenda tonight that you want to bring up or you want to have a public comment about, you can come up right now.
I have a teacher voice, but okay. So dear members of the school board, I wanted to express my sincere appreciation for our new principal, Mr. Michnick, and to show how grateful the Toro Park community is for his leadership. Since the first day of school, Mr. Michnick has demonstrated an extraordinary level of dedication, visibility, and care for our students, staff, and families. He greets staff and families every morning with warmth and positivity, setting the tone for a welcoming and supportive campus. In the afternoons, he is consistently present at dismissal, engaging with families and ensuring a smooth, safe end to the school day. He has quickly built strong rapport with students and staff alike. He takes time to know our students and interacts with them throughout the day, and is an encouraging presence in the classrooms, hallways, and on the playground. His approachability and genuine interest in the well-being of our school community have made a noticeable and positive impact. In addition to his leadership duties, we regularly see him taking on tasks far beyond what is expected of a principal, whether he's washing tables after lunch or picking up trash around campus or assisting wherever help is needed. He models humility, teamwork, and a commitment to our school community. He also is showing, I lost my spot, commitment to keeping our school environment clean, safe, and welcoming. His willingness to do any job, big or small, has not gone unnoticed. The teachers, staff, and students at Toro are truly happy and grateful to have him as our principal. His work ethic, availability, and genuine care for our community have already strengthened our school in meaningful ways. We deeply appreciate his leadership and the positive direction in which he is guiding our campus. Thank you for your continued support of Toro Park School and for bringing such an exceptional leader to our school.
That means a lot.
That's great. Thank you. Okay, and come up here and talk about anything else that is not listed on the agenda. Okay, moving on to correspondence.
No, none.
None. Okay. Then on to public hearing on the annual developer fees report. And I will, for our 1 minute here, I'm going to open it up at 6:22.
Okay. As a district, we are authorized to levy developer fees on residential and commercial or industrial development for the purpose of funding construction or reconstruction of school facilities. The basis of the school facilities legislation is the relationship between new development and the impact on school districts, so that we provide adequate school facilities for the student population that the new development generates. The authority for the district's assessment of developers' fees is set forth in Education Code Section 17620. So the public hearing tonight is to take any input on our developers' fees report, which I will be giving shortly.
Comment or discussion? 2 more seconds and it'll be a minute.
There you go.
Okay.
Once, public comment.
Comment. Go once, twice. All right, we're going to close it at 6:23. And moving on to annual organizational business. Are at that time where my term is up for president, and we need to nominate a new president.
I nominate Adam Causey to replace you as president.
Okay.
I second that.
All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right. Adam, can I turn it over now, or do you want me to finish this?
I think it's a good roll. Keep going.
Let it roll. Okay, we'll finish this out, and then I'll turn it over at L4. Okay, and we are up for new clerk. So do I have a nomination for a clerk?
I will nominate Jen.
All right. Do I have a second?
I will second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, and moving on to the annual appointment of the superintendent as the secretary to the board in 2026. So normally that is how Gina, the superintendent, is the secretary to the board. Do we need to make that appointment a motion? Can I have a motion to make that appointment?
I'll move to appoint the superintendent as secretary of the board.
I'll second.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, and appointment of representative to the district advisory council.
And I'll make Hope.
Do I have a
I
second?
second that.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. And final appointment of representative to Monterey County School Boards Association.
I would like to nominate that guy.
That other guy.
I got a name.
Putting it John.
Yeah.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. All right. Set date and time for 2026 board meetings. We've all got the calendar. And I think we just had one change. So do I have a motion to approve with the change? Okay.
And that change is just moving from the 11th of November to the 4th of November because of Veterans Day.
Yep, that makes sense. We won't be here.
Yeah.
All right.
I'll second that.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So that.
Last day of school is
Last day of school?
for in
This-
June.
May 20.
20. Sorry, I didn't mean to put you on the spot. I'm just trying to.
Teachers got it.
Ask a teacher.
Yeah, I know the teacher.
Okay, I am going to move on down, and I will make way for Mr. Adam. Okay.
Fine, Kyle.
So I think.
Do we need to kick her to the end?
Next time, no, yeah, I can get next month. I'll be at the end. How's that?
You're there for moral support.
Yeah. Yes.
All right. So at this point, we're going to have Gerardo do first interim report.
I can see. All right. Beats bringing any size 5 font on it.
I just want to make sure you have fun. All right, so I don't know if you might be stream back there. Okay. So first interim, but all right, first interim, like always, we have to report out what's going on in our budget twice a year. First interim is anything going on from July 1st up until October 30th, 31st, sorry. So this is information up until October 31st. And changes that after are not reported, and they'll be reported in interim 2. So I do want to emphasize from the last time I showed you guys a budget, there have been quite a few changes. And some of those I know in in October, we were deficit spending a little bit higher than what you're gonna about to see. But that's because there's things on here that were not happening at the time that we built the budget. So there's a teaching contract that is out there that we should be getting in January, but we don't know the price. We're estimating anywhere between 60 to 70,000. Joe, that's about right.
Yeah.
So that's not on the current interim. I'm not budgeting for it because I don't know how much it's going to come out to. Other things that are affecting this interim are we are currently short staffed. We have a custodian out in Toro for 8-hour custodian. We have now it's 2 bus driver custodians. One of them is retiring. The other one just left last week. And we just talked about our sped, how we just recently hired a new sped teacher. So we had a long-term substitute there for a couple of months. Then we have our maintenance and ground, who's actually retiring. So those are all affecting the current interim. So the numbers are going to be a little bit outdated or a little bit off. We also do have 2 sped 8 positions that are not filled. 2 things that are affecting the multi-year for 26, 27, and 27, 28 is that I'm not budgeting for textbook adoption because I don't know how much to project out. Textbook adoptions, we can spend between 150 to 240, 300,000. Not sure until we start getting those projections, but because we don't know if we're going to do social studies or we're going to do science and the price tag for it, there is going to be an adoption. So those numbers are not being reflected on the interim.
So just to clarify, I'm sorry, go back really quick. So you do not have in there, so we do have, like you mentioned, the custodians and the bus drivers, 2 custodians that are retiring next week. You do not have those in the budget that you're going to present.
No, because the issue right now is if I put them in on the lowest step, which currently, if anybody's seen, we've been flying for a custodian bus driver for about 3 weeks now. We have 0 applicants. Don't know if I'm going to be going the whole year like that. So I don't want to put a custodian on there and then come interim 2, we're still there, and then I'm projecting out, and then when my unaudited actuals come out, I'm going to have a huge plus, and then I'll be questioned why were you budgeting a deficit spending, and then all of a sudden have 300, 400 plus.
Okay.
So
Well, conversely,
higher.
it's true, right?
Yeah.
So why didn't you plan for it? So,
So once interim 2 comes, that's going to be up until February. So hopefully by then we'll have someone, and then I'll be able to update those numbers and then give you guys a better understanding of where we're heading.
okay.
So the original budget versus the interim, COLA was the same, 2.3. The enrollment did increase from 7.5 to 740. The ADA funding did increase from 7.6 decrease from 7.6.26 to 7.4.46. But our LCFF funding did increase about $103,000, went from 8.4 million to 8.5 million. The COLA. I normally like to show you guys what the COLA is for us. Our true COLA, even though the COLA was 2.3, our true COLA came out to be 2.18. That's what our district received. It didn't receive the 2.3. It received 2.18 in actual COLA, which is a difference in the base grant money, which is new money coming in. Now, some of the changes that happened in the unrestricted general fund, which is Fund 01, like I said, LCFS sources did increase by 103,000. Other local revenues, STAR was one of the biggest ones, increased by 150,000, and then our contributions though did increase.
Andy did okay.
Did increase $81,000. Like I said, our contribution did increase $81,000, and that's coming out in the SPED department. At the moment, restricted maintenance, when I started on this, I do want to let you guys know, I was projecting to be the same, but as of yesterday, the well here did give out the mortar fried, so I'm trying to get a quote on that. Just want to let you guys know. It's been leaking water. It started leaking last Friday, and they finally came out yesterday to look at it, and they indicated that the well pump is fried, so we have to get a whole new well pump.
That's our irrigation.
Yes, that's for the irrigation. Now, our revisions in our general fund, our certificate staff did increase from our original budget back in June to about now, about $55,000 are classified. Most of it is because of these unfilled positions decreased $173,000, which affects employee benefits, decreased $170,000. But our books and supplies have increased $153,000, and then services and operations increased about $127,000. In total expenditures, we increased a net of $55,000 from the original budget. Now, this is where it's going to start getting a little to the positive. Our revenue is coming at 8.8 for our unrestricted general fund, which our expenditure is 7.9, bringing in a net change in our fund balance of $133,000. If you guys recall, back in October, we were deficit spending, but like I said, some of those issues are from our staff, and not taking into account our Tucci account, which could easily wipe that out. If they come up with us at 70,000, so the change could be easily 60. Now, our restricted account, our general fund restricted account, we were estimating receiving 1.6 back in June. We're at 2 million right now, which is a change in 307,000. Like I said, these accounts, you can only use it for certain items. That's why they're called restricted accounts. One of the biggest ones is we received a new grant, about 107,000 for PG. So professional development, 170. That's where you kind of see, that's why there's a huge jump there. These are some of our other accounts that we do have. Our child development, we were originally projecting to end at 130,000. Now we're about outside 5,000 pending fund balance. Cafeteria account, it's a little, we're projecting a positive of 100,504, but we recently started to have to report our meals. So we never really used to do this, reporting our meals. So we don't know how much we're getting reimbursed back because we have a contract with Ordo, because you guys recall. So this account, you guys will see a more detailed version on Fund 13 in our interim 2. That way it gives me enough time to get the details on our reimbursement, because we just submitted our first reimbursement last week. So we'll find out how much we're getting reimbursed and how much we're paying to make sure it's offsetting. Our Fund 17, we were projecting ending fund balance of 1.8, but now we're about 1.9. our interest there is helping us out, and we are not contributing to Fund 17 this year like we did last year. Our Fund 21, we are decreasing to about 24,000, and our Fund 25, which is our developer fees, is increasing to about almost $1 million. We're $20,000 shy of reaching $1 million in our developer fees, and our Fund 35, we're ending at $12,000. Now, our multi-year assumptions, like I said, some of those things that I'm not projecting, the main thing are textbook adoption, which can easily be from anywhere from $150,000 to $300,000. If you guys recall when we did our math adoption, was it math or language arts? It was language arts, I believe. Language arts. Originally we had projected 150, we ended up paying 180. 3 weeks later, I get hit with another bill of another 50,000. So ended up with about 250,000. So it's unknown. That's why I cannot project it out right now. So our funded ADA, I'm projecting 724 for this year. Next year at 710 and 2728 at 94. I am using our 3-year average on all years. And then our statutory COLA is 2.3 this year, 3.02 following year, and 3.42 in 27-28. And we are receiving an LCF check of about 8.6 each year. One thing that I do want to mention in a multi-year also is that our PERS did decrease. Compared to years out, we were about 27%, but right now we're estimating about 26.9. So it does help us out a little bit. Oh, I got a slide ahead. Now, this is the multi-year projection on the unrestricted side. Like I said, our change in fund balance right now is a positive 133,000. Following year is positive 32,000, and then we'll start deficit spending in 27-28 is about 71,000. Our restricted accounts, we're projecting an ending fund balance of about 180,000 this year, 106 deficit spending next year, and the following year deficit spending about $159,000. Now, when we combine both accounts, our restricted and our general and our unrestricted account, we have an ending fund balance of about 314,000 this year. But we are deficit spending 73,000 following year, and we are deficit spending 230,000. And this is the one where, like I said, textbooks not included, so our deficit spending of 73,000 could easily be 273,000, and then the other one could be easily 430,000. In order to meet state requirements, we do have to have our 4% reserve, which we always talk about. Currently, right now, we do have about 22% for the end of this year. Next year, we're about 21%. And I know originally I had sent over a qualified certification, but county talked to me and they indicated we should submit a positive certification for our interim because we do meet the requirements. We can pay our financial obligations even though we are deficit spending 2 years. We have the funds to deficit spend. So for that, I am submitting that I recommend that we submit a positive certification for our interim. Question?
I got a couple.
Yeah.
So, did you guys look up what our funding was in the differential? We keep seeing that orange and blue bar graph, the terrible graph.
I do have a slide. Do you want me to go over it right now, or?
Well, yeah, since we're talking about it, just in general on our multi-year. So we're in the neighborhood of getting overall about $400,000 less funding based upon the numbers that were there last year versus what the state's providing us this year. Around,
right?
yeah, the amount we're getting in the blue decreased,
Yes.
correct?
So essentially what happens is our local revenue for last year came in at 8.3 and state aid was 2.7. So when you combine those two, we got our funding on local revenue, which is property taxes, came in at 73%, and our state aid was 24%. That's 2 years ago, I'm sorry. Now, last year, our local revenue came in at 9 million. Well, from our 88, 9,000, but our state aid was only 2,000. So that decreased about almost 4%. So now we're at 80-20 instead of our 73.
Yeah, you're right. You're proving
Yeah.
what I'm saying.
So it did decrease.
4% of 10 million plus, right?
Yeah.
So it's not getting any better. I just want to say, and that's what's contributing to our deficit spending. I looked at the detail on what you gave us, and we're eating into reserves on the multi-year by almost $2 million, right?
And other projection.
Yeah, on the multi-year. So they're telling us, oh, no, you're good. You get a positive certification rather than being qualified, but we're going to eat up $2 million of our reserves.
Essentially, right.
Okay, just want to make sure everybody's aware. You know, it's a good thing we have this rainy day fund so we can pay payroll and not have to borrow money, et cetera, but we're chunking into that pretty quick. So, I don't think that you don't have the multi-year up there. So the PERS has gone down from 27 to 26. Make sure everybody knows that that's an unfunded liability, right?
Yeah.
About 10 years ago, Gina, what were we paying 12 years ago?
Oh gosh, like, I don't know, what was it, Denise, 8 or 9% that we're paying into PERS? Something like that.
Right. So what the state has done is transferred that liability to districts, but is not providing any supplemental funding for that. So you just have to chunk into your budget to pay it. So I just want to make sure everyone was aware of that.
A quarter percent makes a huge difference.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And it's necessary stuff. They're just deferring who's paying for it. And this is the first time in a while that I've seen it go down, I think.
Yeah, it did go down because in our original budget, we were projecting to have about 27.10. And so when our dartboard came out, it's called dartboard, came out at 26.9, I was like, oh, went down. Okay, perfect. But
and then what are you hearing from the state budget?
they haven't brought anything out. We'll be going to that in January. We'll be going next month.
Gotcha.
For the 26-27 budget.
Okay.
Next month.
Got it. That's my questions.
Colleen, have you guys heard anything?
Not regarding the governor's budget proposal, but the LAO report did come out stating that the state is going to be in an over $18 billion deficit. They're expecting that the education budget will remain pretty consistent with not new monies, but possibly some like one-time funded types of things.
That's kind of what I was wondering. Like you hear stuff, but you're like, is it true? Deneen, you probably have the best line on that, so thank you.
So whoever doesn't know that, that's Deneen, the county superintendent, and Colleen, our county CBO. So that's who I talked to the most.
Yeah, thank you so much for attending. I appreciate it.
Any other questions?
I don't have any other questions.
Okay, action items. So for this one, we need a motion.
I make a motion to approve budget.
I'll second.
And
All in favor?
all in favor. Sorry.
Aye.
Aye. Good job, Big Freds.
Now I got to get used to this. Okay. Thank you very much, Gerardo.
Thanks, Gerardo.
You
got to go home, right?
On to enrollment.
Yes. Current enrollment stands at 740.
Yep. And then district curriculum activities.
All right, so I just wanted to touch on these. I'm happy to report that we are fully contacting our students. So I'm going to go to the next slide. I first want to start off by thanking our kinder, first, and second grade teachers. I've never met a group that was so positive and just ready to jump in. I told them I would get them a sub each day that they administered the reading screener, and I thought the dates would be pushed back, and they said, we're ready to go. And so I just want to take a moment and thank the first and second grade teachers and kinder, because round of applause, you guys were so positive and it's so great. So what I did, and I included it in your packet, board trustees, is I had a recap meeting with them last Thursday. And I apologize, I hope I don't start coughing, but I'm fine. So what I did was I did bring them some ice cold juice so that we cheered to their great work. What I did was I had typed up a letter that I was going to send out to families, which is the first piece of information in your packet. We went ahead and made a few edits, and so that letter is going to go out on Friday, along with all the results to each parent. And so the results are going to go out on December 12th via Parent Square. It will include the letter to families that you have on the first page. The second page is the interpretation guide for parents. So when parents receive this letter on the 12th, it'll be my letter at the top, and then on the bottom it'll be the interpretation guide and their students' result. So I just want to touch on what we talked about in our meeting as well, our next steps. And Toro is doing a fantastic job already. A lot of the students who scored in the at-risk section, teachers are already like, we're on. They have the RTI, which is response to intervention. Toro also has tutoring after school, which is great. And then the teachers are also already doing small group instruction. So it's going really well over at Toro. And so overall, I have just 3 slides for you. The first slide is just an overall screenshot of how kindergarten, first, and second grade did on the reading screener. I wanted to make sure that student confidentiality was at the forefront, so I don't have student names and I don't have the teacher names. But overall, we had 15% who needed support, and we had 84% that was on target, which is fantastic. And so just for your overall interest, I went ahead and broke it down into grade level. So for kindergarten, this is just the snapshot. So the top is the alphabetic knowledge, down below is language, followed by phonological awareness, and then processing speed. And so what's really interesting is I have kindergarten, I have the same screenshot for first grade, and the same screenshot for second grade. And I think it just highlights, before I go on to the next slide, the amazing work that's going on at Toro, because this is kinder when students enter school, ideally for the first time, though a lot of our students are coming super high from TK and from preschool. But this is essentially when a student would enter school. And just take a look at first grade. Look at the change. That is fantastic. So again, it's broken up by alphabetic knowledge at the top, language, processing speed, and then reading and spelling. And then I'm just going to show you second grade. And so there, it's almost all students are on target, which is great. So I just want to share this quick reading screener results with you. And like I said, parents will be getting all of their own student results on Friday afternoon. Yeah.
How does this reading screener align with Orton Gillingham and our?
That's a great question. And so I know when I've done my walkthroughs, it is based on the science of reading, and that's what our OG and Amplify is. But I think there's a little bit of work to be done with kinder. So I'll be working closely with them to make sure that they all align.
Okay. And another question is, since this is a kind of an automated screener, were the teachers surprised by anything? Or
actually, when I asked them, for the majority, they actually said these were the students I already was concerned about. Yeah, which I think is really great.
Not surprised.
No.
Not surprised.
Yeah, that was my thing, is how are we checking AI on the reality? It sounds like you're doing it.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that. We don't want to lose our human connection here.
Yeah. And again, I just want to say this was such a positive group of teachers to work with. So again, you made it so much fun, you guys. So I really appreciate it.
Good news.
Yep.
Any questions? Any more questions real quick? All right. Then we'll move on to public comment for community funding. We received several emails from all different perspectives about this over the last week, and I wanted to assure everybody that we've all been reading those and looking through them and taking everything that they say to heart. So we thank you for those. We'd like to encourage anybody who has any comments at this point in time of any perspectives to go ahead and share those with us. In the interest of time, though, we are going to make sure that everybody's limited to 3 minutes. Is the correct number, right? 3 minutes. And we'll go from there. So if anybody has public comment, now's your chance.
I will keep it short, sweet, and to the point. I'm speaking on behalf of no one other than myself, but I would like to urge the board to adopt what the committee recommends. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Angela. It took a lot of courage to get up here, so bear with me. In the essence of time, I will refer you back to those detailed emails that articulate my position. In short, I was elected by the lottery to serve on a community funding committee. I began this process optimistic and with intent to brainstorm and discuss the challenges facing the district, evaluate potential approaches, and contribute to a viable solution. Unfortunately, my expectations for the committee's process and purpose were not met. I want to make it clear that I cannot agree with the consensus of the committee that's to be presented for reasons I outlined in the Google document platform and additionally shared with many of you via email. I would like to express a few of my main concerns. The committee's process was flawed, narrowly focused on a predetermined funding option. A video was even publicly posted as such. The committee did not meaningfully explore alternative solutions, answer all questions, or provide physical projections. To elaborate, one specific alternative solution that wasn't able to be presented and may not have been explored is electing to become a district of choice, which provides revenue for interdistrict transfers under a basic aid model. Administrative presence, facilitation, and time constraints limited open dialogue. Suggestions for budget reform were dismissed, and financial data lacked clarity and reliability. The committee was expected to remain neutral, but discussions were one-sided, and essential information such as long-term spending plans, basic aid implications, and year-over-year financial models were never provided. I urge the board to fully evaluate all options with expert guidance and avoid implementing the community funding model without proper or more thorough analysis. It can be argued that community-funded path risks student stability, staff retention, financial sustainability, and community trust. Overall, the committee lacked sufficient information to make an informed recommendation. My personal conclusion, therefore, is inconclusive. 4 to 6 months ago, before I evaluated the woes of the district, I assumed basic aid was the only answer. I'd like to express concern about leadership's lack of strategic, financial, or physically responsible planning, especially noting that the CBO has been responsible for numerous significant district obligations during this critical period. I'd like to leave you with this. If you decide to move forward with the recommendation, can you in good faith and confidence proceed with the decision despite the districts not having fully explored all alternative options? If you feel all of those options have been explored, I encourage you to require leadership to be fully transparent and publicly release the information in addition to hypothetical budgets on where the money is going to be spent. I appreciate your time, energy, and service and support as you face this challenging decision.
I mostly agree with Angela, and I gotta say this sucks. I didn't like this committee. It was not something I wanted to conclude. I did not agree with them. It was not what I wanted to hear. It's not how I wanted this to end, but I can acknowledge the district does have some financial woes you need to deal with. I just feel like this is being rushed decision to expedite into this community funding model. And I feel like it might be in haste for the 300 students that are currently attending your school as interdistrict transfers. And if you rush this through to the next special meeting, that makes it very difficult for other parents and students to find other alternatives for their schooling. We've invested ourselves in this school, and we will be very disappointed when we have to leave. So please take it at heart. Thank you.
You know, I hate like not having my back to people. So
I got it.
If everybody just have to deal with it.
3 minutes.
Scott Violini, thank you for including me in the community funding meetings we had. I appreciate it. My take on the group that we had was excellent. We had a very diverse group of people. Conversations were always kind, and I think we got a lot done in the meetings. There again, the big point I looked at is that on that podium over there, I think it says Washington Union School District, 1868. My kids went to school here, and I appreciate it. But just looking at the numbers, that's 1868. According to that one fellow that was there, I can't remember his name, but he's done a lot of this stuff. And if we continue down the road that we're going to, we might be putting a headstone out here in front that says 1868 to quite possibly 2030. So this is a hard decision for everybody. I get it. Hard decisions are made by good people who have looked at the numbers. You folks were elected to do a good job, and I just, like I said, appreciate you having me at the committee. I thoroughly enjoyed working with all you ladies and gentlemen. It's kind of stacked deck. There's only 2 guys and all these girls. we made out pretty good though. But thank you for letting me speak my piece. So have a good evening.
If there's no other, oh, sorry, one more. Okay.
Everyone. Good evening. I deeply respect the choices the board faces because the outcome of these decisions will affect hundreds of children. I'm asking the board not to abruptly end all inter-district transfer renewals beginning in the 26-27 school year. Freezing new transfers is understandable, but removing hundreds of already enrolled students is not sustainable for WUSD, nor do I feel it's humane. We urge the district to grandfather existing students on renewals where it makes sense for the budget and whatever phase-out approach is most sustainable. Eliminating renewals for 43% of our students creates an immediate enrollment cliff. Even if WUSD becomes basic aid, we still depend on predictable enrollment to plan staffing, course offerings, and facilities. Abruptly losing this many students destabilizes every part of district operations. The district has emphasized funding for infrastructure improvements, but infrastructure requires stability, not volatility. Allowing renewals while stopping new transfers keeps enrollment steady so the district can responsibly plan for modernization and long-term facilities needs. A drop from 740 students to roughly 400 places WUSD in a dangerous range of unsustainability, especially in a state with declining enrollment and not a lot of new families moving into the district. At that size, the district will struggle to offer full programs, retain specialized teachers, maintain class sizes, and support services. Fixed costs do not shrink with fewer students, so cost per pupil rises and opportunities for resident students decline. The impact on children is profound. Students already enrolled here have built trusted relationships with teachers, mentors, coaches, and peers. Ending renewals disrupts academic continuity, multi-year programs, peer stability, and emotional safety. These are real children who will experience academic, social, and emotional harm if forced out of the only school community they know. Transfer families are not outsiders. They volunteer, fundraise, support athletics and arts, and help sustain programs that benefit all students. Removing them fractures our community and damages the district's reputation at a time when we should be strengthening it. We can still reach basic aid status without harming students. Basic aid comes from property tax growth, not from driving students away. Most districts that become basic aid do so gradually. Abrupt enrollment changes are unnecessary. A responsible approach protects existing students, phases in changes slowly, maintains community trust, and aligns decisions with educational stability. And to that note, I tried to find other districts in California who had just abruptly phased out, and I couldn't find any. I found Santa Barbara Unified School District who did a gradual approach, and I found Carlsbad who did a gradual approach, and I'm almost done. And I just want to say behind every renewal is a child who has built their academic life here. Removing them abruptly isn't just a policy change, it's a disruption to their stability, relationships, and sense of belonging. And I urge the board to take the balanced approach, freeze new transfers if necessary, but honor renewals for the students already in our care. This protects our district's long-term sustainability, safeguards programs, and most importantly, prevents avoidable harm to the children who call this district home. Thank you.
Let's move on to hearing the report from the December 3rd meeting.
Okay, first of all, I want to thank everybody for your comments. As you know, we formed the committee in the fall based on some information from Brett McFadden, who we engaged to provide some expertise and some guidance to the district. So we met back in July, a special board meeting. Following his recommendations, we convened the committee. Based on that meeting and subsequent meeting, we set our deadlines and our guidelines for when we would meet and when decisions would be made. And so we had 3 separate meetings of the committee, one in October, one in November, and one, our final one last week. We provided information. We discussed the options that were in front of us. We looked at the budget and we did many iterations of budget projections. And we guided our discussion aligned with information requests that we received along the way. And so when we started our October meeting and our November meeting, or our November meeting and our December meeting, we started with all of those information requests, provided the information, and then guided our discussion based on the information that was presented and information that was discussed during the meeting. So in our December meeting, what we did was we started with the information requests we had received throughout the month. And then the group was divided into subgroups. So we had 4 groups that met together in small sessions to discuss what we had all learned over the course of the meetings and develop findings and recommendations. So within those small groups, those were the discussions that were had during that meeting. We all came back as a big group to share our findings and collectively create what you're going to hear tonight. So we know there wasn't unanimous agreement with both in-district and out-of-district parents represented on the committee. We know that that's a hard place. We know that this is a hard time and these are hard decisions. So what you'll hear tonight is a report from our committee representative who will deliver those final findings and recommendations to the board. But what I wanted to do to start with is to provide the information that was provided during the meeting based on the information requests we received prior to that meeting. So the first request that we received was a demographic breakdown. You know, what does it look like currently in the district from a demographic standpoint? What does it look like in district versus out of district students? So the first slide is our entire student body. 52% white, almost 53. The next highest subgroup is our Hispanic students at 23.9%. And then students of 2 or more races make up 14.3% of our population. And then we fill in with some of the smaller groups at 1.1, 1.7%. American Indian, Asian, Chinese, Filipino, Japanese. So that's our entire student population representation. So if you go to
Our interdistrict students, that's represented here. Our interdistrict students are 45.5% white. The Hispanic group is 25.2%. 2 or more races is 16%. And then we have American Indian, Asian Indian, Black, Chinese, Filipino, and other Asians making up the rest of the percentages. So that's interdistrict. And now we switch to our in-district students. In-district students are 58% white. The Hispanic group is 22.9%. 2 or more races is 13%. Followed by, we have Asian Indian, Chinese, Filipino, and Korean. So those are the demographics, in, out, and all together. No significant discrepancies in any of that information, but I think it was important to show how the district is made up, and that was one of the specific requests we had as information going into the meeting. The next piece of information was a study we received that was done by a gentleman by the name of David Roth in the Buckeye School District. And what he did was he put together a longitudinal study that he calls, he was tracking what he calls the underfunded gap. And we were identified, our district was identified as one of 239 districts in the state considered to be underfunded through the LCFF. And what I really thought this study highlighted and provided was a nice representation of just how difficult LCFF has been on districts like ours. And so I'm going to show you just a few slides and try to best explain. It's a pretty broad study, but this first slide, step out here, shows this brief, Mr. Muchnick. Okay, so this green line you see here is the median amount for LCFF funding. Districts that were identified as underfunded are this red line that's represented here. So it starts in 2012, and he tracked districts up through 2023. So the main point of this slide is that back in 2012, small underfunded districts were about 6% below 6% below the mean statewide in terms of LCFF funding. By the time we got to 2013, which was the LCFF years, it had gone to about 6.93% below, which is about $525 in base grant funding. By the time we got to 2021, those underfunded districts had fallen 15% below the mean, and that represented about $2,200 per student. And in 2023, it had fallen again to 16.37% below the mean. So you can see a steady decline as LCFF, as we know, we've talked about a lot when LCFF was initiated, we knew there would be winner districts and loser districts. And we knew from the outset that our district and its demographics were not going to be a winner district in the LCFF game. So this is a representation. And then what I did, what was provided in the study was I took a look at some of our local districts, Salinas City, Salinas Union High School District, Monterey Peninsula, and us. So you can see sort of the difference in the representation and how that funding gap has impacted us. So here, what this slide represents, you see the green line here, which is the median that you saw on the last slide. This yellow line is what they call the underfunded threshold. This is where the underfunded school districts kind of live in the LCFF. So this is Monterey Peninsula. So you can see back in 2012, they started about 6 percentage points above the mean, and they've tapered off slightly over the years. But even in 2023, they were about 6% below. So they've lost about 12.5 percentage points over the course of those 10 years, 11 years. Next, we see Salinas City Elementary. So they started right at the mean. They increased a little bit, and they've over time dropped just slightly below the mean. So they're just under 2% below the mean. But you can see the underfunded is still way down here. Then we go to the high school district, which is a high school district, not similar to elementary. There's a lot of differences, but this is Salinas Union High School District. And you can see they've gained percentage points over the course of that time, and they currently sit about 5% above the mean. Okay, again, this is the underfunded here, the threshold. So now we go to our district, and you can see this is really the picture of the impact to our district through the LCFF process. When we started back in 2012, we were below the mean, but just above that underfunded threshold. And over time, we've continued to fall. By 2023, we lost 11 percentage points, and we fell 16.85% below the mean. So I think it's important to see information like that, because it really does highlight the difficulties we face in the local control funding formula, which contributes to why we're in the difficulties, experiencing the difficulties we are now. So that information also was shared. And then I think we have another slide. Is it there? Oh, there we are. We had an information request on cost savings for closing Washington. Gerardo, since you're still here, do you want to talk through this one?
Yeah. So Washington came about as a possibility measure and try to do some savings. And so we looked into this one. We've done it in the past, but we looked into it a little bit deeper. Could you open it up? So the potential savings comes out to be about $111,000. Seems like a lot, but truthfully, a lot of questions came about, well, if we close it, there'll be a lot of savings in staffing and other items. Well, technically, no. About $1.4 million is spent in Washington to keep it running. But we have, this is literally every expenditure we do in Washington, and it's broken out by object code, which is how I keep track of what's going on. Teachers from 1 to about 36 have to transfer, except possibly 2 positions, 1 position, because the other one might have to transfer to another one. The rest of it gets transferred to another site. Teachers, certificated, classified, benefits, those all get transferred. Textbooks, that has to get transferred. Someone's going to take the bulk of it. Materials, paper, all that gets transferred. Now, they were talking about, what about gas and electricity? Well, electricity, there's more classrooms, you have to use it more. Washington, we're in a well. We own our water, so we can just use our well. But now that you transfer to either Toro, San Ignacio, unfortunately, we're in using city water, so now that goes up. That's going to be an increase in water, but we don't use it in Washington. So there is potential savings. I'm estimating about $111,000. Some of the savings could come from outside vendors that go out, like plumbing, HVAC, water well, cafeteria permit, AT&T. Those are some of them. Propane, we spend about $9,600. But now you're going to be with PG&E, so that's going to be gas. Water filters, we spend about $7,000 on those water filters. But that's basically closing down Washington. Like, nobody goes in there. But then they talked about, okay, well, what if we start leasing out Washington? Well, if we lease 1 classroom, that's about $18,000. But we're not guaranteed someone's going to go out there. So that's another hard projection, because I can easily say we have 10 classrooms, that's $180,000. But is someone really going to go out there? How many tenants can we really have? Who's willing to go over there? That's a projection that is unknown. It's like, you have a house, you have 5 rooms, but you're going to rent them out for $1,500. Who's going to do it? That's the issue. Right now, we do have 1 classroom that's being leased out by MCOE. Are they going to be there next year? I don't know. They're building this brand new 2-story building in MCOE. So are they going to leave? We don't know. So are we going to have tenants? So that revenue generating leasing opportunity, if it does come if that opportunity does come, some of these expenditures that may be possible savings are no longer viable because we need to provide propane, we need to provide water, we need to provide custodian to be able to keep that site run. If the plumbing goes down over there, the biggest issue with Washington is our plumbing. Our roots, those oak trees get underneath and they pop, burst pipe. So there goes plumbing. So we have, if we're going to be tenants, we have to be providing that. So the possibility of 111,000 is unknown. It could be less, especially if we want to lease out a couple of rooms. So that's what we were talking about. Now I think it go back to, and John, you have beat me to the punch on that last slide. This is what we were looking into about the funding LCFF versus what's being what we're getting funded by the taxes or our community versus the state. That was another thing that kind of got brought up is how much is it increasing? So it did increase from one year to the next about 5%, like I said earlier. So that number is getting smaller. The state is giving us less, they're contributing less. Our tax revenues just increase. So our local taxes are generating 80% of our revenue coming. Whereas before it was about 73%. So. Oh, this is the last one. I forgot about the slide. Someone reached out and said, if at what point, if we keep the enrollment and we move towards community funding fall next year, when do we technically get funded for community funding? And that would be in 2029. Next year, our 3-year average keeps us afloat. So even though we have 490 students, we're being funded out 712. In 27, 28, even though we have 440 students, we're being funded on 627. And then 28, 29, we're getting funded at 304, but we're getting funded at community funding because now we're under that 588. So that question came off. And that's what you see here.
So Gerardo, so in 2026, if we had 490 students, we'd still be having approximately an $8 million budget.
Yes, but let's remember that even with community funded, we have our $8 million budget. With 740 students, we have an $8 million budget. So, how do I say that? I don't want the wrong thing to come out, but for 740 students, our budget coming in, our revenue is about 8.5 for LCFF. Revenue coming in with 440 is about 8 million, so it's about $500,000 less, 300 students less.
Okay. So with that, what I'd like to do is introduce the members of the committee. Not everybody can be here today. If you are here tonight and you are on the committee, I would just ask that you stand up. We have Adrian Pura, Danielle Long, Billy Perry, Angela Mueller, Susie Rodell, Ali Barrett, Scott Violini, Andrew Rosenberg, and then my administrators, Joe, Lily, Mike, and Gerardo, and Brett McFadden attended 2 of the 3 meetings. So I would just like to thank everybody for their time, for their dedication, and for participating in this difficult venture that we embarked on. At this point, I'm going to turn it over to Danielle Long, who will be representing the committee and providing the recommendations and findings.
Thank you.
prepared to be in the small room at a podium, and since I don't have the small room, I'm still gonna use the podium.
Okay.
Board members, on behalf of the Community Funding Committee, I appreciate the opportunity to share an overview of our work over the past 3 months and present our recommendation regarding Washington Union's school district's long-term financial direction. Our committee was asked to take a thorough look at the district's financial outlook, the enrollment trends, and the implications of transitioning from LCFF to a community-funded model. Throughout this process, we focused our work on data, collaborative discussion, and a shared commitment to ensuring the long-term stability of Washington Union's educational programs. I will begin with a brief summary of what the committee reviewed. We looked at long-term enrollment projections, especially the continued decline in student numbers and the impact on the district's ability to operate year over year. We reviewed our interdistrict transfer policies, our existing agreements with other school districts, and the education code related to how students would matriculate through grade span phase-out. We analyzed interdistrict transfer enrollment patterns and demographic information. We examined the LCFF funding model and noted that since Washington Union School District first entered LCFF, its benefits to our district have steadily declined compared to statewide averages. We also discussed grant and fundraising as supplemental revenue sources, but determined they would not come close to closing the deficit we face. We also evaluated rising cost pressures, including special education costs, facility needs, and aging technology infrastructure. And finally, we reviewed multiple possible timelines and phase-out approaches for transitioning to community-funded model. Our committee meetings included whole group conversations, small group work, and detailed reviews of fiscal projections. We considered several different transition models, always weighing both financial viability and the impact on our families, staff, and students. As we reviewed the data and discussed the options, we reached clear agreement on several key findings. First, the district lacks financial health and cannot achieve long-term financial stability under the LCFF model. Second, enrollment declines are expected to continue, which means further revenue losses over time. Third, there is simply no realistic mix of budget cuts or larger class sizes that would make up for the revenue we're losing under LCFF. Fourth, our faculty and staff deserve financial stability and a livable wage. And finally, families and staff need clarity and predictability about the district's direction so they can make informed decisions. With these findings in mind, the committee reached consensus, though not unanimously, on 2 possible recommendations for the board. Option 1 is the committee's preferred option, pending legal confirmation and agreements with home districts. This option would move the district toward a community-funded model beginning in the 26-27 school year. In this scenario, all interdistrict transfer students would exit, except for our current 6th and 7th graders, who would be allowed to stay and matriculate out. Option 2 is a grade span phase-out that would begin in the 26-27 school year. Under this approach, interdistrict enrollment would gradually be reduced by allowing currently enrolled students to remain at their schools until they complete the final grade offered there. Both options reflect the committee's clear conclusion. Transitioning to a community-funded model is necessary for the district's long-term financial stability. Taking action sooner rather than later will help reduce uncertainty for students, family, and staff. If the board decides in favor of the community-funded model, the committee strongly recommends that the board and administration move forward with clear communication, thoughtful collaboration with neighboring districts regarding existing interdistrict transfer cohorts, and a commitment to ensuring that all families fully understand what the transition will entail. Good time this evening.
Discussion. I have any questions or comments at this point?
Again, these are volunteers and it was a lottery pick, so it's not like any of us got a bunch of free time. So I just appreciate people like giving extra
And that was a really good synopsis. There's differing opinions, but that's why we're doing it. We got to put this out to public comment and get every bit of information that we can. This is super important. So I just appreciate everyone on the committee wanting to volunteer and then follow through with that. I'd like.
And we move on to approval of developer fees report.
So that's an annual report that we prepare for you and for the public. As you know, our developers fees account is quite large. The trick with developers fees is if you're going to use developers fees, you have to use it as it relates to development in the area and student growth based on that development. So, you know, I think that there's some effort at the state level to look at how districts can use developers fees because so many districts are in declining enrollment. But as of right now, we have no nexus for any sort of development, so we cannot use those fees. So if nothing changes eventually, we may be in a situation where we have to refund those fees if we can't use them.
And the fees are large, it's 900,000 plus, but not large enough to build anything.
That's correct.
That'll get you a half a time.
Yeah, yeah.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
I make a motion for.
Seconded?
That was
Jennifer. Jennifer. That was just a vote.
So all in favor?
Aye.
Resolutions or roll calls? Just so.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
That's on that. Okay. All right. I'll get it figured out. Approval of the annual budget and fiscal report calendar for 2026.
Yes, well, you know what, Mike, do you have that attachment? Can you put that up? This is just, this is just a reminder.
I liked it.
It's an informational, report that we provide to you that gives you, key dates for approvals, and reports, through the budget, annual budgeting process. Sorry, Mike, I was a little wrench. And all it does is provide you with those dates and what we're gonna report on, first interim, second interim, unaudited actuals. So this report provides the timelines for the reporting of that information, and that's for your information as a board to keep you on track.
I'm good with that, I like it.
Good. Very good. All right, so do I have a motion?
I'll move to approve.
Second.
And all in favor?
Aye.
And, yes, all right, so,
We did the first interim.
yeah, okay, so approval of board policies. I read through those, look very, very timely, I think.
Yeah.
There's some ones in there that are always good to keep front of mind
Yeah.
and thinking about, and
Yes.
it's just, always good to have plans in place for
Absolutely.
difficult times. Any other questions? Anybody?
I make a motion.
motion?
I haven't been able to do it so long. I just
Yeah.
want to approve everything. I just want to approve it all.
Second.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, approval of consent agenda.
Yeah, I've read it, I'll move to approve.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And future meetings? Oh, sorry.
Oh, what were you
Oh,
doing?
that's good. Future meeting dates.
No, I want to go back.
Yeah.
If it's okay. I want to get more clarity on what we're going to be voting on next week. Are we going to be voting on, at that time, are we going to come up with a motion that we either want to go to basic aid or we don't? And then is there going to be a separate motion? If we do, what does that look like?
Those would be clarifications.
suggested, laid out, first option,
It has to
second
be,
option.
their recommendations have to be addressed for
Right.
sure. And that anybody's public comment, including the committee, I think it's all up for.
No, absolutely, but
you know,
how we, yeah, bring that agenda around.
It's not
I- I-
committee
yes,
specific, but
Because
it's
one
part of the
decision
process.
is easier than the other decision, and I don't want to squish it all together.
Yeah. Yeah. Understood.
Okay, that helps, I just wanted to.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, good. All right, future meeting dates then.